devotion, and devotion after liberation. We know that the pure knowledge in the form of Paramatman pervades every form. After knowing the self intellectually, the best way of studying it and realizing it fully is to try to make everyone happy. It is with this practice alone that the self is seen to be pervading in everything. The whole world is only knowledge, since everything is the self. By making everyone happy, the self is pleased. In this way, the truth of the Vedas will be proven and experienced, and self-knowledge will become firmly established. The worship of Paramatman with form Saguna is the worship of the manifest. Brahmananda, the bliss of Brahman, manifests in all forms such as that of an insect, ant, dog, or pig. It is the Supreme Self, Paramatman alone, that pervades everything. Paramatman, which is formless, without any attributes, and not manifest, has become manifest with qualities in the form of the universe. He is present in those things that are inert, but is experienced clearly in all moving beings. Instead of worshipping lifeless gross objects such as stone and metal idols, it is better to worship the moving, walking, talking God in whom the quality of knowledge is clearly experienced. This is Saguna worship, or worship of the manifest God. What are the qualities in a stone idol? Out of the three qualities in a stone idol, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, none of these qualities is found in inert, inanimate idols made of stone or metal. However, there is one or more of these qualities found in those manifestations of God who are moving. Therefore, all beings are forms of God. If one prays sincerely to the saints, or to a good man who is full of Sattvaguna knowledge and an inclination towards spiritual understanding, he becomes pleased and grants us our wishes. Yet, if we censure his Tamo Guna, he slaps our face and gives us an experience of a jolt. Therefore, worship the God who is walking and talking, for gaining knowledge. A stone is of no use. Saint Kabir gave this warning in clear words. He advised all to worship a walking, talking God alone. As soon as the word worship is uttered, sandalwood paste, incense, flowers, kumkum, and other various articles of worship come to mind. However, to really worship God means to please and make every being happy, although Paramatman is one, existing everywhere. The methods used by devotees to worship him are different according to their conditioning and how they conceive of him. A donkey also has God in it, yet if you fold your hands before it in obeisance, it would be like a joke or mischief played on Paramatman. Does it get pleased if you fold your hands before him? If not, then according to what is said above about worship, the worship that is pleasing to another form of God would not really be the appropriate worship of the donkey. If the donkey were given green grass and clean water to drink, that would be proper worship to God in the form of the donkey. However, worshipping the God who has taken a human form is not just offering it food with the hands, but by pleasing him in a manner that suits him. This would be the proper worship of Paramatman. By giving someone whatever he wants, his heart is pleased, and he feels blessed. The snake and a scorpion are also forms of God, Narayana. But to worship them consists of making obeisance to them from a distance. This means that they should be left alone to live their own lives. Instead of doing this, if you start embracing them out of devotion, that serpent God will bite you and prove to you that embracing him is not worshipping him. Here someone may raise a doubt. How could allowing the snake and scorpion to escape alive mean that you are worshipping them? Those beings are wicked, and they must be killed. I would say to them that snakes or scorpions do not bite unnecessarily unless they are touched or hurt. However, man is always ready to kill them, even if they are off a considerable distance. Is not the nature of man more wicked than the nature of a snake or a scorpion? Yes, it is. Because man has the desire to kill them needlessly. Let the feeling of the snake and scorpion are of my own nature be firm. And then see the miracle that happens. The self of a snake or a scorpion is not a stone. When your understanding becomes firm, that your self is the same as the self in a snake or a scorpion, you will see the self of the snake is truly one with your own self, and there will arise no desire in the snake or scorpion to bite you. If one sees a snake as a snake, it also sees an embodied man as an enemy. You will see the same facial expression in the mirror as you have on your face. If you see a bad expression in the reflection in the mirror, is it the fault of the mirror? If you make a smiling face and look in the mirror, you do not need to order the mirror to make a smiling face. Why does the thief rob our house? It is because we also have a continuous desire to rob people in many ways and fill our house. As we develop the feeling of complete renunciation, then that feeling will be reflected in whatever comes before us. Even if you refuse to ask for anything, people are prepared to give up heaps of whatever they have for you. But the one who begs for it does not get it. From this discussion, a reader may get confused and say, Maharaj, your way of thinking does not seem right. To leave a snake alone after sighting it, or to accept as God the one who pickpockets a bundle of notes and do nothing is something we can never do. Agreed. I would say agreed. 100 times. O aspirant, this cannot be possible because of the habit of many births. This type of worship cannot be achieved all at once. Yet, a beginning can be made in small steps. For example, from the small bugs in the house. Instead of the scorpions and snakes, from a petty action like not killing the bugs in the house, one should study the oneness of all. See the oneness of the self in everything and every being. And then, see what a wondrous experience that you will get. You will then come to have the feeling of the oneness in all beings, even with those who are more troublesome than the bugs. And gradually self-confidence and self-experience increase. This means that one should not proceed with the feeling. Bugs should not be killed. They should be left alone. But instead, the feeling should be that they are of my own nature, and they are my own forms. Their happiness is my happiness. A mother experiences the feeling of joy by pleasing her child when it suckles at her breast. With that same attitude, one should experience the feeling of satisfaction by allowing the bugs to suck the blood from one's own body. This idea may be difficult to accept, but it is the beginning, or the first lesson on feeling oneness with all beings. Gradually and persistently studying this, the earth will be without an enemy, and fearlessness will come your way. In this way, you shall be free from all fear. When an aspirant is free from all doubts and achieves the knowledge of the self, he becomes free. Although this is true, he still cannot experience the full glory of real liberation. For example, the achieving of wealth is one thing, while enjoying the status after becoming wealthy is quite another thing. In the same way, unless a feeling of the oneness with all comes to the jnani, his self-knowledge does not develop or spread. He is like a stingy rich man with his wealth, and he cannot get the complete bliss of liberation while alive. Even if one achieves self-knowledge, unless he experiences a feeling of oneness with all, fearlessness does not come his way. Complete bliss is fearlessness. Fear is an indication of duality. Fear is a very great impediment in the way of bliss arising out of liberation. After achieving self-knowledge, the aspirant should worship Paramatman in the method explained previously. In this manner, dry self-knowledge will be moistened with devotion. A jalabi, which is a kind of sweet that has been fried in ghee, becomes juicy and sweet only after it is fried and then put into syrup. In the same way, the jnani gets the fullness of life through devotion after self-knowledge. In the game called Surfati, A player slides first from the lower to the higher house, and then brings back home all that he gets from the other houses. Only then is the game over. By gaining the knowledge all the way from the gross to the great causal body, one has to bring this gift of self-knowledge back to the lower body in the same way. The factual experience that the world is nothing but knowledge is itself knowledge becoming the final reality Vijnana. It is because of the feeling that there is someone else in the world who is not I, that we go around night and day with a feeling of anxiety that we should protect our wife, our wealth, and our belongings from the clutches of someone else. In this way, we turn into a gasti, or watchman, due to the feeling of possessiveness and ownership. However, when one realizes a feeling of oneness with everyone, and the feeling that I am present everywhere, I am pervading everything, on that day, the gasti becomes agasti, the sage who drank the ocean in one sip. This ocean, which is the 5 elements that make up the entire universe, may not even be enough for one sip. This is the way in which the devotee who knows the self becomes fearless while in the body, and enjoys the full celebration of what is called liberation. Now, at this point, we have given the exposition about self-knowledge and the devotion after self-knowledge. We have reached a stage where an aspirant has become the self-knowing Jnani. The end of all of the knowledge of the great causal body bears fruit in the seeing of the whole world as oneself. This being true, Saint Ramdas still has called this knowledge of the great causal body as being unsteady, Brahman, when compared with that of Paramatman. Paramatman is steady. It is different from the manifest Brahman, Saguna Brahman, and the invisible Brahman, Nirguna Brahman, associated with the 4 bodies, and therefore it is no knowledge. So finally the Vedas have said, neti neti, meaning not this. Not this. Not this means it is neither knowledge nor ignorance. Unmoving Paramatman is the only truth. It is the essence. Nothing else is true. Saint Samartha Ramdas has expounded upon this conclusion very nicely in Dasbod. Why is this knowledge unsteady? Because it is given many names and attributes of masculine, feminine, and neuter gender. It is called Satchitananda, Ishwara, Omkara, Shisha, Narayana, the primordial being, and Shiva, etc. These are some of the masculine names. It is called Shakti, Prakriti, Shruti, Shambhavi, Chitkakla, Narayani, etc. And these are some of the feminine names. It is called Nija Rupam, one's own nature, the great causal body, the great causal body, pure knowledge Brahman, the empire of bliss Anandayatnam, etc. And these are names of the neuter gender. These neuter gender names have come to be known as this self-knowledge. The one who is not any of these is the steady. The one who is not any of these is the steady, the immovable, the essence, the real Brahman. The great quality of the knowledge of the great causal body is much greater in comparison than the knowledge in the gross body, and by the process of elimination, it can be gleaned, and after having been deduced, it can once again be mixed with, as it is all permeating. However, it cannot be interpreted that the aspirant has achieved the Parabrahman stage by virtue of expertise with the process of elimination, and once again, consciously permeating everything. Parabrahman is that from where no one can return. Knowledge has been labeled as knowledge, but Brahman really has no name. In the knowledge of I am, there is the mixture of activity or changes in the form of the world. As the mind, called chitta, undergoes this modification, knowledge also undergoes modification. Modifications changes are a state or a stage. Parabrahman is beyond all modifications. Thus, there is as much difference between self-knowledge, or I am jhana, and the absolute Vijnana, Parabrahman, as there is a difference between darkness and light, where there is a contact between the steady and the unsteady. The intellect is confused. says Sri Samartha Ramdas. According to this statement, the last misunderstanding comes in here. Contact between the steady and unsteady indicates the presence of a very subtle duality still intact. Before the knowledge I am dawns, forgetfulness is misunderstood as knowledge. In the same way, when jnana, or knowledge, is underdeveloped, it is misunderstood as vijnana, which is the last stage of the absence of modifications of Parabrahman. When the aspirant mistakes self-knowledge, or I am jnana for vijnana, his progress is arrested there. Samartha Ramdas has compared this type of an undeveloped jnani to a man who is awakened in a dream, and thinks he is awake, yet he is still snoring. You think that this is wakefulness, but your illusion has not gone, is the warning given by Sri Samartha to this type of jnani. That great causal body, or turiya state, in which the gross and subtle bodies are like a dream, is itself like a dream in vijnana. There is bondage in ignorance and liberation in knowledge, but when both ignorance and knowledge are not there, how could the idea of bondage or liberation exist? The Vedas and scriptures talk up to the point of the great causal body. Until then, it is the primary premise, or the theory. In the field of knowledge beyond the great causal body is the proven final conclusion, or siddhanta, and the cancelling of all that has been laid down is right there. When all phenomena is destroyed or annihilated, whatever remains is your real nature. It is impossible to describe it in words, where the knowledge of words proves to be ignorance, where consciousness becomes non-consciousness, and where all remedies recommended by the scriptures are only hindrances. You will see for yourself how you reach that highest point. The Sadguru brought you to the threshold and pushed you inside, but the Sadguru cannot show you the beauty or the panorama within. You have to seize the treasure, the trophy, yourself. Now, after all this has been said, there remains nothing that can be conveyed through words. Words were used for whatever had to be told. That which cannot be conveyed by words has now been entrusted to you. We can only inspire you to be an aspirant, but you have to become a siddha by yourself. We have reached